Welcome back to the Plowbois Podcast. It's episode number 7. Siete. Mi amigos, my familia is here. I got that B-Dye with me. I got KDOGG and that DOC. Back once again, showing love to the Plowboy committee.
Texas, Louisiana, we talk about that, man. All my G's are stacking in, say man. All my ballers in the pen, say man. Where y'all at? And that say man. California, all day, say man. Brooklyn, Queens, let me hear you say man. Jersey fellas, let me hear you say man. Florida killers, let me hear you say man. Tampa dealers, Miami, say man. Shreveport, Monroe, say man. Alexandria, PA, say man. What y'all think? Us here, say man. Red shop in the door, say man.
I'm going to pose the question. Owning your own business or working for somebody else? We're going to speak on that. Tell me about it. Is it how it relates to you guys with your time management, with living up to your full potential? That's a topic we had brought up earlier in the podcast. And as it relates to restrictions and your time management, talk about the pros and cons. I know some of us own our own businesses. Some of us work for other people. As your career has evolved to this point, talk about the pros and cons. Talk about how it relates to time management. And also talk about, does it allow you to live up to your full potential, whether you're working for yourself or you're working for others? That's 3 questions right there. Doc, I'm gonna start with you. You the elder in this thing, man. You've been in the game for a little bit longer than all of us. Tell us about it, my brother.
Hey, owning your own business, I done both. Okay. I had my own business for 17 years. And first I started out as a company man, and then I owned my own business. And then now I'm back to a company. Then I'll probably go back to my own business. Both of them got its pros and cons. Like when you're working for a company, you don't have the responsibility. Like if I had a blowout, that's their shit. They got to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? And loads, they got to find me the loads. They have to make my truck make money. I'm guaranteed so much money a week, whether the truck is on the highway or the truck is not. That's part of the plan of me coming back to them, you know. And like, if I had my own truck, I would have to actually be putting in miles in for the money to be coming in. And I made money doing both. And to be real, bro, working for somebody else, I don't have that stress. I don't have to worry about this. Like on weekends, I don't have to worry about changing my oil, you know, going chase down a shop that's open to try to fix a front end. I need a front end alignment and all that. So it's definitely pros and cons in the trucking business of owning your own business. You got a lot of freedom when you're owner operator. You know, you can just pick your loads and, you know, take a week off when you want. But when you're a company guy, you pretty much got to put in the time and put in the work, and then before you can get some days off. But hey, I don't mind, you know. But I made money doing both. About the same. When you average it all out, say I made about $200,000. I'm gonna put it out there, owning my own truck. Some years I might hit that 200, and then when I take all that paperwork to the tax man, then that's when I get taxed. He said, "Man, you kick yourself in a different tax bracket. You're gonna have to pay." And I was like, "What, man? So you're saying I can take more time off and not have to pay as much tax, and you're gonna make just about it?" And he told me. So I started cutting it down to like 150, 160. I started cutting the money down, and then that's when my tax, everything leveled out. So I'm just one guy. I was a one guy truck. So I just needed to make my little 150 a year, and I'm good. You know, now as a company guy, I can make 80 or 90 without the responsibility, you know. without having to buy tires and all that. So you got to figure into all that. You know, that's the pro.
A lot of overhead. You talking about
right.
As far as the freedoms and restrictions. I like how you put that, bro. Your experiences have led you to understand that it's 50-50 in the business that you in, from what I'm understanding.
It's the same,
if you
bro.
go,
Unless
if you go a little
yeah.
bit too high, you're restricted. If you go a little bit too low, you know what I'm saying? You're not fulfilling what your intentions are. I copy you. I read you tenfold. Let's talk to another business owner. I'm gonna shoot the owner right here, father to son. Young Buck.
What's the deal? What it is?
So we talking about basically owning your own business, pros and cons as it relates to time management, as it relates to freedom and restrictions. And do you feel like it's better to own your own business or work for somebody else? Talk to me.
Hey man, I'm gonna start with this because this been a topic we've been discussing. The COVID vaccine, not get a vaccine. Man, to be completely honest, dude, it's kind of one of them things. Like, I don't knock nobody for working for a company, because even if you do what I do, you still work for somebody. You work for you work for whoever gonna pay you next. You know, the next. So it never was an idea of mine to get into business to not have to work for nobody. I've never ever thought that at all. And another thing is, that's, like I said, that's not really a pro or a con. I'm just putting that out there because, man, I'm not against anybody that want to do either one. Like, man, if you work for a company, great. By all means, handle that business. And if you working for yourself, you're providing a service, handle that business too, because we do need both. Everybody can't get out there and just be a buck and duck. We got 100 buck and ducks in over, and we ain't going nowhere. You know, we got to kind of look at it in both aspects of the game. So a pro of having your own business, the pro of having your own business, I'm gonna say kind of like, you know, my dad. A lot of them, it's a lot of same similarities, man. You pick when you want to be off. If I don't want to get up at 5:30 in the morning to go work for somebody else, I don't have to. I can wake up at 9 and I can just work later. You know, that's all of those things. You know, you got those perks, you know, a little bit more freedom. But the con of owning your own business, man, it's like he said, the maintenance and the stress, dude, I work 20 times more for myself and buck and duck than I ever worked on a pipeline job or, you know, any kind of commercial industrial project. This is all me, and I don't know where I'm gonna get my next meal at if I don't go get it. You know what I mean? So it is definitely more, especially the situation I'm in. You know, I just come off of like do what I do, and then, you know, I got kids, I got a lot of things to think about. That's a con to it. Another pro is you ain't gonna ever get it if you don't start. And just because you start and it don't work out the way you wanted to work out, it's cool. You started. So if you have to stop and regroup and come back, you started. So you got an idea. You're never gonna have a business until you start. And that's the key to really having a successful business, is starting it.
Starting somewhere.
That's a pro. You know, you gotta start.
Gotta start somewhere, homie.
And I'm gonna say another. Yeah, you know,
go ahead.
And you know, for working somebody else, you don't have, like, I know what I'm getting every week. I know my check coming from. I know when I got time off, when I, you know, stuff like that. But it's a schedule. It's monotonous. The motivation kind of goes down after a certain point in time. So when you yourself, you live more rejuvenated. You feel a little bit more youthful because you really get out there and go get it done. But when you work for a company,
I like basically you telling us right now you enjoy owning your own business, but it's more stress, it's more work, but the fulfillment of knowing at the end of the day you working for self, and the freedom of having the ability to move like you want to move is a con. It's something that balances it out. Similar to what how Doc put it, man. I like the way you elaborated on that. It gives us a good perspective on your view of holding it down for buck and duck. And you're right. It's a balance. It's got to be done on both ends. It's got to be done. Everybody can't own their own business. Some people, it just ain't for. You know what I'm saying? And I know B-Dot didn't experience both aspects of that. So I'm going to jump into him next. This is a musician. This is a business owner. This is someone who's also a nurse. So he has all the aspects of what we're asking right now. The pros and cons of working for yourself or with somebody else, as well as the freedom and restrictions that lie within it as it relates to the time management and the pros and cons. Man, elaborate on that.
Is like you said, from experience. And although I agree with a lot of what Kenny said and a lot of what Doc said, 100% on the pros and cons. I'm just gonna get into my feelings about it, man. Like I've come to a realization in from my perspective. And again, it's not a knock on anybody who owns a business, because I respect it. I definitely respect it. I was there, and it's a respectable achievement in the world we live in. But I also think there's some sort of a false or fallacy about it, because being an entrepreneur is what Kenny just said it, and that's what he took the words out of my mouth. You always working for somebody. Even as an entrepreneur and the owner of a company, you are actually working for your employees. You go into, like the industry that I went into was the fitness industry. And although I saw it as I'm on their time, I go when they want, and I actually give them what they want. It's not the idea of me training them. It's actually giving me it was actually giving me what they wanted to receive from that training. And that's a hard thing to explain to the client, but there's an expectation that they have that you work for them. And by being a business owner, I lost myself within that, I thought, because that's not what I signed. That's not what I went into it for. When I did that, I had a different idea of how that was going to be. And I truly didn't like being a business owner. I wanted to work for somebody as a trainer, because I wanted my job to be to train people. I didn't want my job to have to be cleaning the gym, doing the books. At the end of the month, you got to, look at memberships and all this stuff. And this was specific to my business, but it's in every business. Like Doc just talked about, you worrying about taxes. You worrying about, at the end of the year, you worrying about overhead with the company. That's not something I was interested in. I wanted to work for somebody. And I realized that a good while ago that I'm not an entrepreneur, and I don't want to be. I never want to be. And I've told this to a lot of my friends before. We've talked about it in other aspects of in other conversations. I've always said I'm a team player, and I knew that about myself. And people, I think society frowns down on that a lot, because as kids, we taught, own your own business. But y'all just said it. Everybody isn't able to do that, and everybody shouldn't do that, because if you had 100 of the same company, then you essentially not going anywhere. Everybody do the same thing. But I always saw myself, honestly, as more like a Scottie Pippen than a Michael Jordan. I really did. I was a supporting player, and I always envisioned, like, in my position, and I'm telling you, I was confident in that position, because what I knew is when Jordan threw me the rock, I could produce, if that makes sense. And at the end of the day, we all champions. And I always had that vision of myself. I never wanted to be a gym owner. When I opened my gym, I opened it because I was forced to. I was forced to for reasons of not being accepted in a circle, not being not the vision wasn't shared by my partners of how I wanted to do it and how they wanted to do it, how they wanted to be. They wanted to have a certain display for the clients, and I wanted a different rollout for the clients. So I did it out of force because I wanted to be in the gym environment, right? And I thought that would be the way. But I always wanted to be a supporting player, and because I know I'm a strong supporting player. And it's not that I'm scared of the responsibility, but I just know I can support somebody who can handle the responsibility, because as a business owner, you have to have a supporting role player. You have to have it. You got to have somebody doing your taxes. You got to have somebody doing your books. You got to have somebody doing your staffing and nursing. You can go whatever business you want. Just like Big Doc said, Big Doc drive the trucks, but he had a tax man, right? He didn't employ the tax man, but he paid him to do his taxes. Yeah. So I was always, and I still feel that way. I'm a supremely good support role man, and I have no inclination, no drive, no desire to be a business owner ever again. And I think, and my opinion on that is, I think society frowns down on that because they want you to, because I think people get this leader thing. They get this leader, the title of leader, and that's what it is, a title of leader as the person who owns the company. But that's not always the case. It's really not. The owner of the company may not always be the leader. They just have the most responsibility within the company, but the movement of a leadership can be within the second or third leg, the third role person in the company, because they just support the vision of the company and how it moves forward. So I know I said a lot. If y'all got any questions about that, feel free to email me, bdella64@yahoo.com, to all my listeners.
Yeah.
And I can elaborate a little more on that.
Yeah, man, you done experienced a lot of different things in your life, bro. And I'm glad that you touched on that issue of I like the way you put that, bro. There wouldn't be a Michael Jordan without a Scottie Pippen. There's roles that we play, and you got to know your role. I think that in life, bro, without knowing your purpose, you're lost. You're lost. You're just drifting through life, and if you've come to the reality that you know what your purpose is, then count it as a blessing, and you've experienced the other side, and you've understood that your purpose is not what you had intended on doing. You wasn't finding fulfillment in that. You wasn't enjoying that. So, no, I've always been told, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're working way harder than you should be working. You know what I'm saying? Work the work. Don't let the work you. That's what Pops used to tell me, man. And it's real. We're going to jump into the Kabis testimony on this in just a second. Tell me what that business like out there in H-Town.
Yeah, man, I'm just really gonna piggyback on what Doc Book has said. It's really pros and cons to it, because it don't matter what like what industry you in, whether it's truck driving, you can own your own restaurant, whatever. It's really gonna be a trade-off, and you have to decide what's best for you. So like for me, I was an independent agent, right? But I was only making commissions. So if I don't sell no policy, I'm fucked. You know, so I don't get nothing. So now I signed on with a company where I get a salary too. So for that, like you said, we say about time management. When you own your own business, and this is something LL Cool J said whenever Jay-Z became like the CEO of Def Jam or something like that, where he said, just because you can bake a cake don't mean that you should run a bakery. So it's like people get this misconception in their head, like, well, I can do this, I can do that, I can start my own business, which you can, but it's a lot of shit that come with it, like Big Doc. You know what I'm saying? I was in trucking for a while. So when you have your own truck, you got a lot of overhead. A lot of shit can go wrong with that truck. And if you're an independent owner and that's your truck, all of that fall on you. So the maintenance, the tires, the insurance, the dispatches, the gas, all of that fall back on you. So where if you just a company driver, you just get in the truck, they tell you where you're going and you go. So you get your check. Another thing about it is the money that you make, because people assume, well, I own my own business, I'm gonna be making $10 million, however much. You can own your own restaurant, but it's a lot more work. So you're gonna have to hire, you're gonna have to get the building. And a big thing is finance. The money that it takes to just get started, to buy the building, buy the stove, hire people, buy the drinks, all of that. So that is a big thing. A lot of times, even if you want to get a franchise, it's like 100,000, 200,000 buy-in that you have to give to the franchisee to even get started. So you may, after everything all said and done, you may only come out 50, 60,000, but you own your own business and all of that shit fall on you. Or you might be the manager at a restaurant and you just manage it. You go to work, you work your shift, you go home, and you may make 80, 90,000. So it's like, it's pros and cons to it. And it's definitely, it's a case-by-case basis. You have to decide in yourself, like what you want to do. Like for me, even though I'm not an independent agent where I'm doing that in that industry, I still have other business ventures that I want to do. Like, I don't like my drink. I don't want to go work for Coca-Cola. That's not something that I like, a dream of mine. But to have that as a product on the market, that's a dream of mine that I want to pursue. But like I said, it's sometimes you got to put shit on the back burner, because if you don't have the startup money, what you need to fulfill the orders, or like Buck say, sometimes you just got to rearrange. You might have to put it on hold. You might have to rearrange some things. So it's definitely pros and cons, and you just have to weigh the good against the bad and what worked for you in your situation.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate you chiming in on that, bro. From what I'm getting from everybody in here, Plowbois that spoke, that we have some reservations about owning our own business. Because we've experienced that. And you can only talk on what you've experienced. You haven't experienced something, then you really don't need to chime in on it. If you have, then you can speak on the pros and cons. And your experiences have led you to believe that there is more cons involved from what I'm getting with owning your own business. But the pros can be fulfilling because you're working for self. You're working for your customer.
I'm gonna say, let me say one more thing, G. Let me say one more thing, G. Like for me, because this is something Big Dog, I think Big Dog wanted to say this. That's why I say it's case by case. In some situations, the pros might outweigh the cons. In some situations, you might have a business like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. That's kind of like an extreme, but they became billionaires owning their own business. But it's all kind of tech people that did this shit and they shit failed. But regardless, you're gonna always work for somebody. You may not get up in the morning and go clock in at a job, but like Kenny was saying, he gotta get that job. He gotta get that next job, and he's working for them people. They still paying him. They just not paying him as an employee. And that goes back into like your taxes, whether you're a W-2 employee or 1099, you know what I mean? So it's definitely, for me, it's case by case, because you could start your own business and it could take off and be the best thing and you can make millions or billions of dollars. Or you might start your own business and it could fail. So you can't really say, well, owning your business versus working for somebody. It's a case by case. In this situation, working for somebody might be better. In this situation, owning your own business might be better.
We're only talking about our experiences, bro. That's all we can give, our experiences. As far as what someone else is to do, we encourage everybody to do their purpose. And if you found your purpose, man, bless you, man. And if you've gone through life and understood that your purpose was not what you were doing, man, count it as a blessing. Count it as a blessing, man. Like B-Dot said, man, we don't need labels in life. That's man-made. What we need to do is find our purpose. And only thing that can define purpose is God. Somebody might tell you what to do. Somebody might tell you what to do. Somebody might say this is what's best for you, but they didn't create you. Find your purpose from the creator, and then you are fulfilling your potential. K-Dog, you
not much more than what you said, man. You know, just finding your purpose. I've never had the opportunity in my life to have my own business. My dad and I had started a little food trailer business together. I actually worked it in Brazil quite a bit and made some money off of it. But as far as the money my dad put into it, to the amount of money we made, it was no comparison, man. There's no comparison. And then like around here with my disability, man, I can't own my own business. I can't work for anybody. There's a guy out here that sometimes he has a lawnmower job he'll want me to go and do to give him a hand. And I'll help him. So I mean, but it's been a learning process, man. This man, Johnny Como, has taught me so much about small motors, man, small engine and repair.
to where somebody can tell me something and I can pretty much tell them over the phone how to fix that issue, you know?
Shout out to Johnny Como.
Yeah, correct. But
Boy, give me a shout out.
Johnny Como, Basil High.
Nothing else that I can do, you know?
Basil.
You know?
Man, I'm glad you chimed in on that, K-Dog. You know I love you, boy.
All right.
Boy. Yeah, you were born with dirty hands. Yeah, you a plowboy, and you're thinking silly, boy. Just trying to make you understand. Yeah, you a plowboy, and you're thinking silly, boy. Just trying to make you understand. Oh, yeah.
Thanks for watching the Plowboy Podcast, episode 7. Tune in next time for more from the Plowbois. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Plowboy out.